What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care and also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And working with those two organizations last year, I was part of a team that reached out to over 100,000 fathers around the world. I really take that to heart and very happy to achieve that, but we're looking for more this year. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live here on March 20th, and I'm based here in Toronto, and we're getting, spring is coming. I think the first official day of spring is today, and we're seeing less and less snow, more and more rain. So it's all good in TO, or as they call the T-Dot, or 416 today. So looking forward to another epic conversation today. On Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m., we do something called Black Canada Talking, which is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes and POVs on stories that are of importance to them, and also to showcase Black Canadians that are doing really good things. And we have another new friend today on the Black Canada Talking platform. We have Clavia Alleyne. He is the Vice President of the Black Business Association of British Columbia. And we're looking forward to finding out what's going on, as I like to say, on the left coast these days. So let us welcome to the platform Clavia. Come on and join us.
Good afternoon, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right back at you.
How are things? On your show.
Pardon me?
I said thank you for having me on your show.
Well, it's our show. I don't do it alone, because if I did it alone, I wouldn't be able to do it alone. And also, it's our show. So I'm looking forward to it. But thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule today.
Awesome. It's great to be here.
Good. What you been up to today so far?
Today, I've been relaxing, doing some planning, working on some projects for upcoming events that we want to work with on the association side. So I've been, trying to take it easy. It's the weekend, but I'm still trying to maintain a little bit of productivity, so that the week's not as hectic.
Excellent. Love that. Setting yourself up for success. Nice. Before we get into the association, let's find out a little bit about your background.
My background, okay. Well, I'm born and raised in Barbados, and I emigrated to Canada in my early 20s, in search of a better opportunity. I married my wife, and we have 3 beautiful children. And, I'm trying to make the best of the Canadian opportunity. And at the same time, I'm trying to promote certain entrepreneurial values and business-minded instinct in the younger generation, and hopefully in the broader Black community. That's what I would really like to accomplish.
Excellent. When you first came to Canada, was your BC your first landing place, or what got, or if it wasn't, where did you get to get to BC?
Well, technically, Toronto would have been the first landing place, but as far as destination, BC was the original intended destination.
Okay.
And that was the first time I ever got on a plane as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long did you spend in Toronto, and then how long ago, or how long have you been in BC? Let me put it that way.
So I think the flight, usually the schedule is overnight. I think we overnight in Toronto, but I had a relative there, so they gave me like a brief tour of the city, maybe a couple of days, and then I was off to BC. Wow. And I've been in BC since about 1998.
Wow. So what made BC the destination? Because many people, especially from Caribbean, be looking at Toronto, Montreal, maybe Ottawa, maybe Windsor, maybe the East Coast. What made BC the destination for you back in 1998?
Well, I think it would have a lot to do with my wife, or my current wife, because she was born in Canada, and she was originally from BC.
Okay.
So as far as immigrating to Canada, it was a natural kind of selection as far as picking a place that she was familiar with and that I could become familiar with as time progressed. So that was, like a natural conclusion, basically.
Excellent.
But I'm glad I picked it. I love the weather. I love BC. I love the West Coast. I love the Canada, but I over the years, I've become especially attached to BC.
Fantastic. Can you just reflect for us some of the early days, you and the family being in BC? Because obviously it had not been a place you'd been before, though your wife was from BC, and maybe it was easier for her adjustment-wise. But what was your initial adjustment to British Columbia?
Well, I think one of the big things that was shocking to me or surprising was the size of things, because the scale, I should say, the scale is a better word. Because I'm coming from Barbados. Barbados is a relatively small, country, very small. So the scale is appropriate. But then you move to Canada and or BC, and you can take the train, and that runs for 40 minutes, and the distance that it covers in that 45 minutes to an hour, it's maybe twice the distance of my country, Barbados. Going on road trips, even going to like places like Kelowna, like resort places, places you can go and have fun. Those are 2 or 3 hour drives. There's nothing like that in Barbados. I don't think. I think you can maybe drive around Barbados in about 2 hours. So that was a big,
So
surprise. The
good.
scale.
I also want to jump a little bit. You're an entrepreneur, correct?
Yep.
Where did the entrepreneurial journey start for you?
I think it started. Well, it started as a child because I always had a dream of doing something significant, owning a business, trying to contribute in some real way, meaningful, financially or community wise. And then you move to Canada. You're a young person. You have a young family, so you're trying to make a way for yourself. And most people who emigrated to Canada, they go through the usual route. They start with small jobs and they work their way up. Maybe they do some skills training. They re-educate themselves in some area, and then they go and they try to find greater and bigger opportunities. So for me, that was kind of my focus, was to try to get bigger and better and to grow. And you go through the stepping stones like everyone else.
Hmm.
But I think that was a big part of what I wanted to do, was to just grow and contribute. And to do that, I didn't think I had the space to do it as an employee. I didn't think, and historically, just thinking back, the jobs that I had didn't allow for the expansion for me to do that kind of work that I wanted to do. So there was really only one choice. I had to take the step and go out on my own, and that's what I did. I just, like we say, bite the bullet, right? I just
Hmm.
bit the bullet and jumped
Hmm.
off, right?
When did you make that decision that you had to quote bite the bullet unquote? And what was the initial journey like being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
Wow. The initial
Becoming an
journey.
entrepreneur, sorry.
Well, okay, so the reason, I think, after I decided to become an entrepreneur, then I had to figure out kind of what area did I want to get into. I had a few ideas, but I really felt like I needed a skill of sorts. I needed some kind of skill that I could market and sell. So I looked to retrain myself in an appropriate area, and I, I guess I ran into an opportunity with massage therapy, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and I was actually afforded a scholarship through the government of Canada, and I attended massage school and I became a registered massage therapist. And so now I have my skill. Now I have my skill. So now I can market myself, and now I can start to build some kind of enterprise, a business. You start small. I worked as a contractor of various like high-end clinics and physio places and spas to gain experience, to gain knowledge, and backdoor back office business techniques, learn how to run the business from the inside. And then when I felt like, after a few years under my belt, and I felt confident that I could handle the challenges of running on my own, then I just stepped out and I opened my own clinic.
Wow. Number of conversation pieces there. How many
Mhm.
other black male RMTs do you know?
Whew. Okay, so let's think. Let me think. 'Cause there are some, definitely there are some, but
Okay.
of course, you and I both know that number is going to be fairly small. But off the top, and I'm going all the way back to my colleagues in school, I would say about maybe five of us that I could think off the top of my head that were in school at the time I was in school, and would have
Wow.
graduated and become registered around the same time I did.
How many in BC?
Uh, I'm going to say two to three at the moment that I'm aware
Wow.
of. And that's not the whole number. I'm not sure of
Yeah.
everyone. Some of them might have actually moved. I believe I remember one colleague. I think he relocated back east to Toronto to
Okay.
continue his practice. So there's not that many of us, so it's hard to kind of
Yeah.
count. But I think there's still about two or three. I could be wrong. There might even be more, because as the profession grew, it became very popular, and we saw a
Hmm.
huge rush in young people trying to become RMTs. So that number for our community could have grown significantly since those days.
I'm going to bring it up now, and it may come up a little bit later, especially
Yeah.
for our fellow wannabe Black
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, you took the time to learn a skill.
You have to. You have to have
Talk about
something.
that.
I think. Okay, a skill. Let's call it an idea. Let's start with an idea. It starts
Yep.
with an idea. So we have an idea. What do we want to do something with ourselves? But to manifest the idea, there's usually a route. There's a progression. There's points on the. There's like a map. We have a tool that we use in the BBABC. Is called a map. Market access. I'm gonna mess the acronym up, but it's basically a map. That's exactly what it stands for, and it points you to the different steps in your entrepreneurial journey. And so that was my map. I needed to follow these steps to become what I really wanted to be, and that was independent and self-sustaining. Right?
Excellent. Excellent. Fantastic. And where were you, or do you, if you remember,
Yeah.
where were we when you made that decision saying it's time to get out on my own? Do you remember that moment?
There's two moments.
Okay.
The first moment was when I initially quit my. I was working at the supermarket. I was doing a grocery job. That was the initial revelation or spark flashpoint. I
Yep.
was working and I got into a car accident because I was working graveyard shift,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I'm working 11 to 7, right? But I have a young family. I have to do, I have to support them.
Yeah, you got to
And
do what you got to do.
right. But graveyard shifts, anyone who's worked graveyard shifts, it takes a toll on the body. And I was fatigued. And so I fell asleep and I just ran off the road and I hit a small pole. Not a major accident, but it was a wake up call because I was like, maybe the next time I fall asleep, if I'm really tired from working this shift, who knows? It could be a more serious accident. So that really made me start to take a step back and really look at the options that I had in life and really start to pivot, like make definite moves. Because we sit back and we think about things. I should do this. Maybe this is a good idea. But we never ever take the first step. And that's the biggest step usually is the first step.
Making a decision.
Yeah, and then stepping in, I'm doing
and
it.
making the action.
Yeah. So once I did that, I think the rest was kind of, well, I'm in it now. I gotta, I have to maintain and I have to grow. And so that's why I signed up for the skills retraining program with the Canadian government. We did some research, and they found out that I was very suited as a career and an RMT. And we went about, we had some consultations with counselors and stuff like that, and they approved my scholarship, and I just went to school. And and to be honest with anyone, I never really got up and said I want to be an RMT. There was never that flashbang moment. It was I want an opportunity to grow and build myself into something substantial and to leave a legacy of something for my family. And that opportunity presented itself. And I thought about it and I said, the one thing I love about this career, besides being able to help people, is the ability to be independent. And that was the key that I seized onto it because I saw that as the out now. I saw it as the out, the way to build a business, a company, a franchise, whatever, because I had that skill and I could use it to grow. It was like a seed for comparison.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, okay, I'll ask one more question about your journey. We'll get into the organization.
Right.
What have been 2 or 3 wonderful moments you've had along your entrepreneur career?
Okay. Entrepreneur career, the first time I opened my business was obviously the first big moment when I opened the doors and I had the labor minister,
What?
Henry Baines. Yep, he came and he cut the ribbon on our our opening ceremony, and that to me was
Nice.
like the culmination of years of work and sacrifice and having the support of my family, and they kept pushing me and they kept encouraging me not to give up. To see him cut that ribbon and I could look up and see my sign above the door, and I was like, okay, you got here. That doesn't mean you're done, but
Exactly.
it doesn't mean you're done by any means.
Exactly.
And I'm going to say that to all the entrepreneurs. That's like ground zero. You've now laid a foundation. Now you can build on it from there. And that was one of my most proud moments. Obviously, in entrepreneurial, being able to give back to other entrepreneurs because I've been through all the growing pains. My entrepreneurial skills are self-taught. I was on Google. I was learning how to build a website on my own, learning different servers and, all the technical side of things. I learned that on my own through trial and error. So developing my own website was another huge achievement for me, being a non-technical type of person.
Same here.
Right? Those kind of like small victories, but they give you the motivation to keep going. And I could do this. Okay, if I could do this, and I never knew how to do it before, maybe I can try this one. And then you expand to another skill, maybe the accounting side, the bookkeeping. You start to learn another entrepreneurial skill, which is very important. And I urge all young entrepreneurs, all beginners, get started with a good accountant right out of the gates. If you
Ooh.
don't know
Now, and
one,
why is that important for an entrepreneur?
because financials are critical to any business, and
Yeah.
you want to have your financials in order, and you want to have them organized and I guess what's the word, sorted, so that when you want to go to apply for funding from organizations, they're definitely going to want to see your financials. Having a professional accountant who audits your books and does your bookkeeping, that makes you seem very professional and organized, and it prevents a good face for your business. So those things. And here's the good part: when you're a starter business and you're just starting out, accountant fees are not really, they're going to be an expense that you have to take accounting to, but they're not going to be extraordinarily expensive in the beginning. And so you can get started with an accountant, build a relationship, so that as you grow, they can grow with you. And that was one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from one of my clients as an RMT. He said, when you really go out on your own, make sure you get a good accountant. That's going to save you. You'll pay for it initially, but the money you save in the long run, it's going to be at least 10 times what you pay this accountant. And that was
I
advice I
hope,
got.
Brand, people are looking to get into entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs heard that word of wisdom. I
It's
hope
very
they heard
important.
that word of wisdom.
Yeah.
Just
Get
one other thing.
organized. Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, get organized right out the door, right out the
Yes.
gates.
One other thing. When you opened up for the first time, do you have that documented?
Yes. I believe
Good.
we have photos and some video.
Good. And that's another thing for entrepreneurs I suggest. Document your journey.
Yes. Because actually, that becomes a motivating point.
Yes.
When there's financial difficulties, COVID came, we had to be closed for a number of months. It was very challenging for all entrepreneurs, not just us. But you can look back. We have a little gallery of images, and you look back, you're
Nice.
scrolling to the website, and you look and you go, you remember this? You're looking at my partner, and you remember this? We started this with just an idea and determination and grit, and we got to this part. Look, the guy's cutting the ribbon, and you can visualize these things, and you see that you made it this far. And if you can make it this far, you can make it a little further, and you can make it a little further. And it's these
Nice.
checkpoints along the way, especially if you document them, they can serve to motivate you and your entire team because you see what you've accomplished.
That's wonderful because people ask me, how did I get started? And said, all I had was an idea, a laptop, a microphone, and a dream.
See, there you go.
That's
And
all
look,
I had. That's all I had. So
it's
I
amazing.
really want to I really want to thank you for sharing some of your story because I think it's inspiring and people, whatever stage of entrepreneurship, whether it's idea phase,
Right?
1 year in, 5 years in, 10 years in, there's a lot of knowledge bombs you just dropped with us. But we got to flip because we're going to talk about the Black
Okay.
Business Association of BC. So
Yes, the
give us
BBABC.
some back. Yeah, the BBAC. How did it start? How long ago did it start?
Okay, so the BBABC started in about 2019, and it started with me and my wife. We are young entrepreneurs in a business, and we wanted to give back to the community because we noticed in British Columbia there's not really much support services for Black businesses as far as a community. There's not that many. I mean, there's the usual channels for financial assistance or going to the banks and those kind of things, but other non-financial supports in the community like web development or business planning or tech development, those kind of things, we didn't have those kinds of services in the community, and we felt like there was a huge demand for that. And also there was no other business association for our community in BC and on the West Coast for that matter. And so we decided maybe instead of going with a cultural association, let's form a business association where we can actually provide entrepreneurs with tools, because that's what we didn't have when we started out. We didn't have access to tools, maybe some mentors, people that could give us advice, and we could avoid a few of the mistakes that you make along the way. Granted, they were learning curves, and those were necessary lessons to progress. But not in hindsight, now I've gone through them. I think with the advice I can provide to the entrepreneurs, we can help them avoid a lot of these pitfalls and navigate the entrepreneurial journey better because we have tools and we have supports. And those were the things that were lacking. And primarily, this was the motivation for us to get the association started. That was the whole thing. There was nothing around with those kinds of services.
Did it surprise you that until you started your organization, there were no other organizations like this in BC?
Well, a little, but not a lot. And I boil that down to numbers. Because if you look at, I mean, there's a sizable Black community in BC on the West Coast, but if you compare it to the East Coast, the numbers, is significantly smaller. So then I would scale the support system for the Black business community on the West Coast. I would scale it appropriately to that. There was not that many business supports, if any, in place for our community on the West Coast. Maybe it's related to the numbers, maybe it's related to the timing, but we felt like we looked around. We were hoping there were some because we would love to take advantage of them ourselves, but we realized there was a demand, but there was no supplier per se. And we felt like we have enough skill, we have enough experience, we have partners and mentors that we're allied with, and we have people that want to give back. And we felt that we could form an organization that would be able to provide these services and really, really make a difference. And that's where the core mandate of the association was kind of created.
I love that. I'm a firm believer of find the need and fill it. Don't find the need and kill it. So you found
Right.
a need and you are filling it. So you have this idea to start this association. What did you have to do to get it started?
Well, there was a lot of administrative work. There was applying for nonprofit licensing. There was incorporating fees with the lawyer to get it incorporated, and handle the legitimacy of the enterprise, make sure everything's registered and up to speed. There was that. There was also some. We had to set up a board because there's some I guess protocols that you have to have with an association. So there were basically more. I call those administrative tasks that you have to kind of set up, and you follow this checklist, and you basically tick the points off as you go. And we were able to establish a core group for our board of directors, and from there we were able to expand to an advisory board by adding key skilled people that were interested in the cause and were willing to give their time, energy, support to what we were doing, and we just built it from there, from the ground up.
Nice. So from the time it was an idea, a thought,
Gotcha.
till
Mm.
the time it became a reality, how long of a period of time was that?
Okay, so inception with all the paperwork, maybe 2 to 3 months.
That's it?
Well, because we were already, it wasn't like a poof idea. It was an idea. You have those ideas in the back of your head. You
Well,
want to work.
that's what I'm
Right.
talking about. From that idea to when it became a live reality, what period of time was that?
I'm gonna say at most maybe 5 to 6 months at most.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is because during the need, that the skills that we were looking for, we had a direct need for these services ourselves. So we were looking for people to provide these services,
Okay.
but we found difficulty trying to find certain business services, business plans, and other things in the community. And so we realized as time went on, we're like, I don't really know where to find this particular skill or service. I can't find that one. I mean, I haven't exhausted my search per se, but it's difficult to find things. And we
Mhm.
realized maybe we should provide these services. We can provide them because we can't find them. And clearly there's a definite need. And that was the impetus for us to get the ball rolling.
Nice. So take us back in history,
Right.
the day it became live.
Well, it became live when we got the paperwork back from the lawyer and all the registration was intact. And we had our mini celebration that we were good to
Nice.
go. Right. And then another huge milestone for us would have been the creation of our website, because that was our I guess our page, our face to the world. That was
Hmm.
another milestone. And that took about maybe 3 months to kind of
Okay.
flesh out and design and develop. And it's
Hmm.
still under development because I don't consider certain projects that we have, I always consider ongoing, because I want to be able to stay current and I want to be able to progress with the times and stay fluid. So I don't want to have the same website that I had like 3 years ago, you know, right now today. I want it to grow. I want it to be more creative, more informative, more useful, those kind of things.
Okay.
So
So share with our worldwide audience, what are some of the services that you provide BC Black entrepreneurs and or businesses?
okay, so there's a number of services that we provide to our clients. They range from strategic planning, There's training. We have training, education, and development seminars and webinars we have for our clients. We have mentorship programs. We have incubator programs where we combine a set of skills that we feel are vital to entrepreneurship, and we set up an incubator program, and the entrepreneurs go through the program and they accumulate skills at each stage, as well as business acumen, their general business knowledge and savvy. And by the end of the incubator, we hopefully produce the rounded, savvy, ready to go entrepreneur with all the skills up to date. They're equipped and they're ready to go and tackle the challenges of being an entrepreneur, especially a Black entrepreneur, and especially in 2022. And that's what our mission is. And I'm really passionate about that because I know what I've been through in my life, and I know the struggles that I've had to endure and conquer. And I want to be able to be a role model for young people. I don't care what your background is. I don't care where you came from, what island or North America, Caribbean. We can all make it. Your language, not as important, but the drive to be successful and to be an inspiration to other young people. And it's a cliche thing. We talk about these things in all these different forums about the negative stereotypes that Black people portray or portrayed in society of our community. And I want to be one of those people that portrays a more positive light, that portrays something a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more inspiring. And I hope that this work that we do is able to reach as many young people as possible through all the platforms so that they can, adapt this mentality that we have to work together. We have to work as a community to build our community, but we have to do it in a smart way. We have to do it in an educated way. We have to do it in a strategic way. And all of these things require skills, require training, require mentorship, and require support. And that's why we started this association, because we're here to provide those things to any entrepreneur from our community who's willing to put the grease in, to put the hard work in. I'm never going to say it's easy. And that's what we're here for. Bottom line.
Nice. From your experience or your journey as an Black entrepreneur, and from your work with your organization, what are some of the challenges that you are hearing on a consistent basis with the clientele that you are helping?
So barriers to entrepreneurship, I would say.
Or challenges that they're having.
Right. Challenges. One would be access to funding. The history of that has been historically difficult for Black sole proprietors, Black entrepreneurs to get funding from the usual channels, the commercial channels. It's usually a little bit more difficult for them to access funding. Another barrier is knowledge base. A lot of entrepreneurs have a great idea, but they don't necessarily have they weren't taught or they weren't shown the gradual steps that you need to go through to complete the process and make it just from an idea to a reality. Whether it's an online website, whether you want to do an online store, you want to have a brick and mortar, there's steps to your dream, there's steps to your entrepreneurial journey. And those are the kind of those are the kind of barriers like that people encountered. They had an idea, but they didn't really know quite how to flesh it out.
Right.
And we are here to help them do that. Other barriers, let's say barrier, let's say a challenge.
Challenge
is a good word. I would say a challenge would be in the business community that I've noticed, and I will say it's become a lot more tight-knit in the last couple of years. I think COVID had a lot to do with that because people had to pivot, they had to be strategic, and they had to work together. I think a lot of them were actually forced to work together to kind of maneuver through certain situations. And I feel like one of the things that was a challenge was to connect the community, because we're all here, we know we're here, but we're not that connected. And I found that on the left coast, there wasn't a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, there wasn't enough to me, the cohesion in the community. And I wanted to see that grow. And I'm really happy to say that it has grown significantly, I feel, in the last 2 years.
Congratulations.
And I think maybe that's part of the whole worldwide awareness and, the whole worldwide acquiescence that we're a community and we're growing together and we're going to build together. And I feel like this last couple of years, especially with COVID and the pandemic, has really strengthened the bonds. And I can see the difference even when I do webinars, even when I talk to other entrepreneurs, the young ones, the ideas they have, the energy they have. It feels different. It doesn't feel like when I started out and I was like, oh my God, it's so challenging. I was almost overwhelmed with the things that I thought I had to do. Nowadays, I find the young entrepreneurs, they're more enthusiastic. They're like, I got this idea. We can make this work. What do I need to do? And I'm so happy to see that kind of energy And it makes me want to make sure I can give them all the help, all the energy, all the support that I have to make sure they're successful.
Nice. Number of conversation pieces I hope we can address, because you're just dropping knowledge bombs here. But we're going to take a little bit of a break now, just to give you a little bit of a rest, and we'll come back. We'll come back from come back to the conversation, and I want to find out from you: are the challenges you're hearing from new entrepreneurs any different than the ones you heard or you dealt with when you started becoming an entrepreneur? Well, we'll be right back in just a few moments.
Got it.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here. And as always, on most Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes and POVs on stories that are of importance to them.
Guinea could not afford to participate, but at the last minute came in because there's always issues of money and corruption.
That guy gets to go to jail because he doesn't have the money and he doesn't have the status that Bill Cosby gets. And Bill Cosby gets to get off, not just for the money as well, advancing age, etc.
I'm just going to echo a few things you're mentioning. We know that the Olympics, the Tokyo Committee, and also the Olympic Committee was against any protests.
God bless, peace to all, keep the faith, and remember, walk good. Welcome back. Dr. Vibe here, Black Canada Talking, and we are talking with Clavia, Alleyne, the Vice President of the Black Business Association of British Columbia, and we're going to continue on our conversation, and as I said before the break, we're going to have him come back, and we're going to talk about now the challenges he's hearing from Black business entrepreneurs or Black business people in BC now. Are they anything different than when what he was encountering when he started his entrepreneurial journey? Clavia.
When I really think about it, I would have to say majority of the problems that we face today are, I would say they're pretty much the same, similar to the challenges I faced 15 to 20 years ago when I first, became an entrepreneur. But nowadays, I think they've become more complicated. A lot of the processes in these issues have become more complicated, sometimes convoluted, and it's very difficult to navigate. It's a lot more difficult to navigate the challenges nowadays than I feel like back in the times when we first started entrepreneurship. But back then, a lot of things were relatively new. The internet was kind of, was newer. Google wasn't as, like the tools and everything that was available was still fledgling, and it grew into the things we have right now. But with that growth also came complications and the difficulties and the challenges. So I would say the challenges are the same, but they become a little bit more complex in 2022.
How does your organization help navigate your clients through the complexity that you said exists today?
So the way we help our clients is to provide them with practical tools to bolster their business skills. We provide them with entrepreneurial training. We have mentorship programs from experienced entrepreneurs. We try to create networking opportunities so they can talk to other entrepreneurs and bounce ideas off, get good tips, learn from each other and grow the network. Because in business, anybody knows one of the key rules in business is networking. And the success of your business is often based on the value and the what's the word I want to use? The success of your networking, right? The better you're able to network, the better you're able to source supplies, source employees, source contacts for business engagements. All those things are happen through networking. We also offer, there's a resource hub. We're working on the resource hub where you can have all of these certain like documentation processes you need to do to go through for like applying for businesses. So we're trying to amalgamate this huge, massive information into a resource hub so you can kind of go to one stop if you have a question and you can click on it and it will give you some kind of response to where it will help you to point you in the direction where you need to go. So we're working on that. That's a big project. That's going to take some time, but I think that's really, really going to help. We also have, we also try to introduce people to funding opportunities. As you know, we're a BEP partner. There's a program that was started with the Canadian government. It's called the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund. We are one of the partners in that. And I guess the long and short of it is that the government has allocated a significant sum of money to help Black entrepreneurs across Canada. And in order for entrepreneurs to secure this funding, they have to obviously be in a, I guess, in a financial stable position to access it. And so we are one of those providers or partners that help the businesses develop a business plan and a strategy to meet the requirements to qualify for these government loans. And so that's one of our functions as an association. We have a youth entrepreneur program. That's one of my favorite actually activities because I'm very, very passionate, as you can hear. I'm very passionate about incorporating these beliefs and instilling them in the young people, because I think if we can do that from a young age, by the time they're in high school and ready to graduate, they're 90% of the way of the mind state to becoming an entrepreneur. And it's just to fine tune their idea, maybe get financial backing and mentorship, develop a business plan, and then they're right out the door. I don't want to say ready-made entrepreneur, but they're almost ready to go with very little training or retraining necessary because they've had years to cultivate it.
Speaking about you mentioned your passion in helping out the young people. Do you feel that the education system should be exposing our young people to the idea of entrepreneurship in their educational journey?
Definitely. I mean, I think they do. You go to college, there's business studies. There's, you go to university, there's these kind of fields of study.
But I'm talking even earlier than that.
Right. I know that's what.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to prep the kids for the later stages of those courses. It's a very good idea to start them younger, because the youth program that we did it in a partnership with Power Play, and it was based on this. We had a prototyping phase where we had a bunch of talented youngsters. They created a business idea, and we helped them to design their product and put it through a design phase and prototype it. And then we tried to market it for them and put it in our online marketplace. And y'all, please check out blackbizglobal.com. That's our online directory and marketplace. And that's where we're trying to get all the businesses online so we can communicate with each other, we can trade with each other, and we can uplift the community together and have it all in one spot.
Well, since you mentioned blackbizglobal.com, and I'm speaking, our producer will put up the URL while we're talking about it. Give us the background about that. You've given us a little bit of what the purpose is, but how did that start? What's the story behind blackbizglobal.com?
Okay, so we were in a strategy session with the board, and I was trying to think of a way to help the community work together. We needed a way for the businesses to support each other. We always say this, we need to support businesses, we need to support Black business. We say that, but that doesn't necessarily only mean going into the store and supporting them. It means business to business support, right? Where we buy supplies from another family business or we get services from a tradesman in the community, you know what I mean? And having that communication between all the different categories. And so I needed some platform that would allow me, I need a plumber, and I go to Black Biz Global and I go to the directory and I find a plumber. Now we have countless of directories. There's lots of online directories, and I would really recommend that all of my entrepreneurs, please register your business and your website on as many of these online directories as possible, because it really helps with your Google SEO properties. It really does. And that's another tip I picked up along the way, but it's really helpful to list it on as many sites as possible. But that was kind of the brain behind it. And to be honest, I'll cue it in one word. When we were in a strategy session, I had one word, and I said, we need a Blamazon. That's what I said. I said, we need a Blamazon. And then I got the president went online, and we tried to find if it was actually available, because you got the concept instantly the second I said it. So I was like, that's good. That's what we want. We want people to instantly recognize what we're trying to do. And so can we find this Blamazon? Can we own it? Can we use it? Unfortunately,
someone has it.
Yes.
Smart. You
know how the internet works nowadays, right?
Oh, well, I'd be interested to know how long, just out of curiosity, how long have they owned that URL? Because whoever has that is smart.
It's very smart, right? And I believe there's also a Blamazon, slightly spelled differently, but I think it's another site, maybe in like skincare or some other area like that. But that was the idea I had in my head, and that was the concept I was working with. We need a Blamazon. We need our own Blamazon. We need a Black Amazon where we can support each other and grow the businesses and shipping, logistics, the whole 9 yards. And so we went after that because that was the foundation, but we couldn't get Blamazon. So we needed something that still said Amazon, like, I don't want to advertise for them, but that still reflected that concept, but in our community. And so we came up with Black Biz Global because it's Black business and it's a global venture. And we want to be able to unify all of the Black entrepreneurs on the East Coast and the West Coast. We're working on Caribbean hubs. We're working on African hubs because the aim is to be global, right? We, as a community, we have to scale to the global level, and we need to trade on the global level. We do. We have the internet. We do Zoom calls on the global level every day. We can do transactions on the global level too. Let's do it. We need a platform. I know we need a platform, so I'm working on building. It's developed, but we're always tweaking it. We're always trying to make it better, more powerful, more functional. And this is kind of the platform that I need everyone to get on, because when you have a platform like this and it's multifunctional, so I'm trying to spread the word out there so that people understand the vision. We're trying to create a huge global hub of Black businesses communicating back and forth, trading back and forth, supplying each other. We need to also work on logistics. That's a whole other conversation. We can talk about that. We need the logistics to support the network. But at the end of the day, due to the technology and the internet, we're able to at least trade and make money with each other on a global scale. So I want to encourage that because that's how we built.
Nice. So for people, just a little update. Blamazon, that URL has been owned by the same person since 2015, March 31st.
See? So he was on it, but they didn't design a website. So
right. But they own the URL. That's the
so
thing.
They're waiting for someone to buy it, right? They're just waiting
so
for
they're probably, and it's owned by someone in Ohio. And then if you want to own Black Amazon, that's been owned since 2003, June 24th. So owning domain, just because the smart thing is own a domain doesn't mean you have to have a website on it yet, but you it's owned by someone. So if someone wants to buy it, they're going to charge a hefty price if they want to sell it. So just wanted to show that in real time. Let me ask you, as we're moving further away from the pandemic, hopefully, willingly, how has it impacted the community that you serve during and now as we're getting a little bit post?
Okay, so during the pandemic, I saw a lot of businesses going through financial hardships. I actually saw a few businesses close their doors, and it was very disheartening, but there wasn't much we could do about it because of the situation and the restrictions and the difficulty for them to transact business on on their usual levels. So unfortunately, a few of those businesses, and in particular industries, we know restaurants, in the food businesses, in other service industries, they were hit really hard, and I saw a few businesses close. Navigating through the pandemic, we realized that part of the skill set we need to part of the services we need to provide are pivoting services, because they're going to be people that they haven't closed yet, but they need to be able to shift their business or their focus to a slightly different market or newer product, just to shift it a focus slightly, and they can still maintain and continue to operate their business with just a slight focus or change in direction. And so we wanted to make sure that businesses had the time to analyze their current setup, decide what was best, what direction was best for them to pivot to, and we wanted to provide support tools and support, services for them to be able to recognize and realize these goals. So fast forward to 2022, we're kind of, I don't want to say post-pandemic, but I'm praying that God it is. But fast forward to 2022, what we've seen is a lot of people, the awareness has grown. Firstly, because when we first started, they wouldn't have had the awareness until a lot of people ran into difficulty.
Yes.
So when the difficulty hit and people were like, what do we do? How do we navigate this crisis? Then they started to look for these supports. And by this time, we have been reasonably established as a provider, and we were able to start reaching out and start offering people these supports. And from that, then people start, in a few of the cases I've personally dealt with, I started to see the hope. I've started to see the optimism return. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm starting to see people go, okay, well, I know I was having challenges in this area, but now that I've pivoted and we've reorganized the business plan, we're ready to approach the financial institutions with a proper business plan. So hopefully we can get funding. People start to see the light a little bit, and I think now the opportunity is now for that cohesion, because people are realizing we can actually work through this and we can get through this. And because of that, I've also noticed the cooperation has improved, the communication has improved.
Yes,
and
because
I'm
it's
really
desperate
happy.
times. So
Right.
desperate times.
I mean, I don't want to say it's bad that I had to get to this, but I'm actually
Hey, a
actually
lot of
proud that I got
times,
to this point.
yeah, that's what has to happen, right?
Right, hardships, right? But I'm really encouraged to see people reaching out more and more, because now the awareness is growing and people are realizing, oh, there's an association that's out there that has supports that can help me, and they're reaching out, more and more. And I'm encouraging all of my partners, all of my brothers and sisters everywhere to spread the word. If you're on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast, because we provide services across Canada. We're based in BC, but we provide services across Canada. So I'd encourage any entrepreneur who's looking for support in whatever area, we can find a resource to help you. If it's not within our grasp, but we're here to help.
Okay. I'm going to introduce some conversation topics as we start winding down, but I want to get your thoughts on it. The importance to our Black businesses, equipping yourself with sustainability. Because you had mentioned how a number of Black businesses had to close their doors.
Yes.
And to be honest, it's a challenge I see in a number of Black, not a lot, but a number of Black organizations not looking at sustainability. Can you just speak to that for a few moments?
All right, sustainability. Let's talk. Okay.
All right. I like this. Okay.
Let me set up for this one, because this is critical. This is critical. I got to be fairly frank. If our organizations, support organizations, community organizations, business organizations, if they're going to succeed and continue to support the community, they cannot rely on external funding. I think that is, I'm going to be honest, I think that's setting yourself up for a disaster down the road. I'm not saying there's no value in funding. Of course, there's tremendous value in sourcing funding and being able to get support from government. That's really applaudable. And I'm awesome, because we're a recipient of funding. But I know that kind of funding is often not steady. It's often not, you can't rely on it to keep your organization afloat. And so you have to have plans in place to be able to make your organization support itself. Because we've had many organizations, they've maybe flourished for a few years. They've had a lot of government support or support otherwise, sponsorship. And then because they lacked a sustainability plan, they kind of gradually faded away because they weren't able to support the organization going forward. And I thought that one of the key things that we realized at the BBABC was that funding is awesome, but it's not going to be our solution, and it's not going to solve all the problems in our community. The community needs to step up. I'm calling out everybody on TV. We need to step up, and we really need to contribute back into our own growth and our own development. And this is not a knock on us. This is just a call out, a sound off that we really need to start really actively supporting each other in business and commerce. And I feel like those are critical areas that we need to focus on going forward.
Good. You had mentioned earlier on this, but I want you to go a little bit deeper on that. How important it is for Black business people, whether they're entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs. You talk about networking. I'm not a big fan of that word, because, and people may laugh at this, a lot of people's net ain't working. Right. So I like to say,
not just knowing people,
right? But
gotcha.
But relationships. And
valuable.
I also like to say with people, don't be transactional, be relational.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Can you expand a little bit about the importance of building those relationships?
They're critical, because even as an organization, we have many relationships with many different partners and supporters and even clients. And all of those relationships, even though they're separate, they form a critical part of who we are as an organization and what we're able to do. And cultivating valuable and impactful relationships. I like that word, impactful, because we can know people, but can we make an impact? We can have networking, we can have alliances, or we can have friends or associates, but do they help us to make an impact in what we do? And I think the value in your networking is the value in the people around you that are contributing to what you're doing to help you make an impact, and vice versa, because you can also contribute in their network or in their sphere. So I feel this all boils down to community spirit and cooperation. You can go around it and you can describe it many different ways, but it all boils down to us working together on the many different levels to try to weave this thing together. You know what I mean? We weave it together like a tapestry, but it all works on many different levels.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. What is your organization's vision or goals for the next 12 to 18 months?
So primary goals right now would be, one of the main ones is to get as many of the entrepreneurs onto blackbizglobal.com, onto the online marketplace and the online directory. And the reason for that is the directory is supposed to give you market access, to expand your market access. There's a directory, yes, but there's also a marketplace, and we're working on having storefronts attached to every single listing in the directory. That's the goal. So not only can you find a business, but you can support that business right there. Pretty much like the Amazon model, for lack of a better word. But we want to be able to expand that and get all the businesses on, have them all have their digital storefronts, and then one person, any member of the community, whether you're a government agency, because we also help with procurement. We work with the government procurement assistance program, and they also provide services to help, I guess, the diverse community access government contracts. And that's another area that we're working on, because that's something that I've never really encountered our community being involved in the procurement stuff, government procurement contracts, working with the government on these kinds of contracts. And that's another business area that we want to expand, because that also expands the economic base.
Okay. What can we do to support what your organization is doing?
We can support us by, one, registering to become a member. I think that's the key, because there's another aspect to the association, and there's one that's critical to the community, and it often gets overlooked, and I'm going to bring it up now. It's called data.
Yeah.
Data is critical. Data is critical for us to get proper information about the status of businesses, entrepreneurs, the community, economics, everything as a whole. And we need this data, because when we can analyze it, we can see where we fall short, where we're strong, where we need to prop up, what services need to be enhanced, what services we can pull back on to augment other services. And that all comes from analyzing the data that we get. And to collect this data, we need input from our entrepreneurs, our business owners, our business community. We need you guys to become members, to give feedback on the surveys. We have surveys and polls on the website to get information about the status of the business, geographical locations, geographical information, economic information, industry information. Because when we can compile all of this data on all these different levels, we can really get a picture, a global picture of what the business community is, what our Black business community is doing. And that's what we're trying to do, because knowledge is power. We have some of the knowledge, it's fragmented in different areas, but we need to bring it into a cohesive bundle so we can analyze it and get real, accurate, powerful, meaningful data that we can use to make changes in the community.
You're speaking my language, because I believe that two of the key proponents going forward for Black businesses are collaboration and data.
Done. That's it. Once we have those two, we're like fully through the door.
Excellent.
That's like 75% of the battle.
Before we end off our epic conversation today, do you have any final words you'd like to share with our audience?
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to us today. And I hope that you will also take the time after we've done with this podcast to go to www.blackbizglobal.com to check out the online directory and the marketplace. And please, if you're a young entrepreneur, sign up your business, become a member, try to take advantage of our services. We're here to help you. If you also need any other information, there's our website, www.blackbusinessbc.ca. Please come on there, learn. There's many links and registration for all of our webinars, all of our programs. Come take a look. Like I said again, we all need to be working in this together. And the larger we can build Black Biz Global and we can create that network, it will create other opportunities for business development, and it will also create sustainability for a number of organizations. And that's one of the things we need to have. And I hope that everybody takes the message to heart. Support your kids, teach them about entrepreneurship, teach them the ways and how to be creative and ingenuitive. And I hope that this message spreads all across Canada. Thank you very much for having me.
And the world.
And the world, exactly.
There you
Global.
go. Global, absolutely. So if our producer can you put up the website for the Black business? That's where you can reach. And also you can put up Black Biz Global. There we go. Both of them are up. Clavia, I want to thank you and your team for everything you have done, are doing, and will be doing going forward. You do have a home here, so anytime you need to reach out, please, if it isn't myself, we'll get someone to help moving it forward. And as I say, when we work together, we win together.
Yes, agreed. 100%. And I thank you again for having me on this show. Blessings.
The pleasure is mine. You can come back anytime. You and your team and your community has a home here.
Appreciate it. Thanks again, guys.
Take care. Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I host the only online conversation in the world for fathers and dads. It's co-sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. I want to thank everyone for watching live or on the replay today. As always, I want to close out with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And also, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. I'd like to thank BIA Media for a great production job as usual. And next week, we have our roundtable, bi-weekly roundtable, and we have a new person coming on for a few episodes. And it's someone, I'll just give you a hint. Their website is the #1 ranked Black Canadian website in the world. I'm not going to say anything else, but if you have a little bit of knowledge, one of the two co-founders of it will be joining our platform next week as part of the roundtable. Not going to say anything else, but for that reason alone, you need to come back next week. And also, you can catch me during the week, 5 p.m. Sunday afternoons on Black Canada Talking. Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. I host The Morning Vibe with Ryan Knight, who is one of the co-founders of the African Caribbean Business Network. And then on Saturday evenings at 9 p.m., I host and produce State of Things with Aisha and Jill, Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones, who give their takes on things not only in America, but around the world from two outstanding Black women. As always, God bless, peace to all, keep the faith, and also follow me either on YouTube and on Facebook. Just put in the search engine, either on YouTube or Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show. God bless, peace to all, keep the faith, and walk good.